I don't have anything to say anymore. I've processed all of my cognitive dissonance, and now all that's left is just, I want to do something else. That's really what it comes down to. I no longer identify myself as an electronic musician. It almost feels like that's a different person who was doing that. It's weird to say that music does not have the same enjoyment as it used to, but alas, it's true. And what has shifted inside me that has made this happen? Why do I no longer want to make music? Well, I have to talk about what got me to want to make music in the first place. I wanted to hear my own expression. I wanted a reflection of my own consciousness in some way. I also wanted to heal myself. I was in the process of healing myself. In sound, in music, and the frequencies within sound and music have this ability to bring our internal systems into balance, in harmony. And I can't help but think about the idea proposed by some alternative health people where there are certain frequencies that have been found to be antimicrobial. And this idea was the precedent for Royal Rife machine that he made way back in the earlier 1900s. He had this idea that you could basically vibrate the body at different frequencies and that certain frequencies could kill pathogens. It was highly controversial and he was mostly looked down upon, but I still believe there is something to it. I do believe that what makes us attracted to certain music, certain frequencies that when we hear them, or a certain combination of frequencies, like in a chord progression, or any complex chord, like a series of frequencies, when you add them all up together, they can have a balancing effect on the body. So that's really what I was doing with music. I was getting in tune with the frequencies that I needed to feel better in my body. Like there were these frequencies that would give me this sense of reward and pleasure. It's like I was hitting all of those dopamine receptors with these chords or melodies or compositions of music that I was making. It was self-indulgent, quite honestly. I was basically giving myself audio orgasms every day when I was making music, with my microKORG or my Ableton Push controller. I wasn't doing it for anyone other than myself. I did it because it was getting me off. And there would be frequent times where I would be composing a melody or a chord progression and I would just melt in tears on my desk. And for whatever reason, either that I've healed a lot of my physiology, my health conditions, maybe I've healed through a lot of my traumas, I do not experience music in the same way as I used to. Maybe my microbiome shifted. Maybe my baseline neurochemistry is already perfectly balanced and there is no external frequencies that can bring me to balance because I'm already at balance. And even aside from the self-indulgent aspect of making music, there was also a part of me that wanted to express this work, all of my devotion to hours and hours that go into making a full song. I wanted to express that to the world because I wanted the validation. I wanted the acknowledgement of, hey, that's really good, I like that. And to be honest, I didn't really get a lot of that. I was being infinitely rewarded internally for my production, but I got very little, but very little external positive feedback or feedback of any kind from the outside world. I was basically just making music in a chamber, a little echo chamber of myself. I did the social media thing. I put my music on all the platforms. I could have done way more with marketing, but I was never motivated enough to do that. What was more important for me was just sharing it with the world. Just the act of uploading it online, whether or not anyone heard it, was enough for me on some level. And music got caught up like how everything else every other project that I'd done in my life up till then, it followed the same path. I tried to justify why I was doing what I was doing so I could make money with it. Same goes for baking, my muffin business idea, my herbal formula business idea. All of those things were ultimately self-serving. I did them because I wanted to do them for myself. I didn't really want to put them out into the world and actually have a business that would lock me into some structure for years on end. No, but I tried to justify to myself and to the world that what I was doing was for the greater good and not just 100% selfish, which it actually was. You know, if you asked me, and if you come and ask me health advice or ask me questions about, what's the best supplement for this, what herb for this, or anything related to music, if you ask me, I'll gladly answer. But my motivation for creating a platform to share and quote unquote add value to the world was really, really low. So low, in fact, that I just never did it. Because doing that would take away from the ultimate reason of why I was doing it in the first place, and that was to heal myself. Healing myself was the number one goal for everything I did, pretty much from age 25 to age 32. If you knew me during that time of my life, everything I did was self-serving and was an effort to heal myself of chronic health conditions. That's all it was. And also an eating disorder, and OCD, and multiple food allergies and sensitivities, and immune dysfunction, all this stuff. You may not even know, if you knew me during that time, you may not have known I was going through all that because I kept it hidden. Because I was putting on this facade that I'm doing all this stuff to start a business or, help people, become a health coach or whatever. I did all that for myself. I was a closet narcissist all that time. And music was the same thing. I made music only for myself. Well, at the same time, I did care if other people liked it. It's weird. It was both. I did it only for myself, but I would also be hyper vigilant when other people would listen to my music because I felt really, really vulnerable. Because these creations were things that were really bred from my own imbalances. My own pathologies were being expressed in this music in some way. The chords, the melodies, the music was made to bring a part of myself to balance. And within that is vulnerability. So whenever I would share my music, I would be pretty nervous. I wouldn't really feel good if they liked it. The people who did say they liked my music, it didn't give me some kind of internal gratification or anything. It didn't pump up my ego or anything. It just kind of made me uneasy because the music was an expression of my disease, my own darkness coming through in my music, my own sadness. All of my old emotional bullshit was being expressed through that music. And even though I'm saying all this, there are still a few tracks that I love from what I made. And I will go in future podcast episodes into more detail with those tracks and go into some of the inspirations and what about the songs I like so much and why I still like them and how they're flawed, but still the essence is very pure and beautiful on some level. But right now I'm glad to not be making music. It feels good. I feel refreshed, recharged. I got a new outlook on my life. I've got a handful of different goals that I have for 2020 that I won't share here, but none of them are related to music. Let's just put it that way. I'm really ready to put that part of my life to bed. I'll go ahead and share one of the goals. I want to write about my experience with an eating disorder. And I want to also compile everything I learned about health into one condensed book where I list basically the 30 things I learned as a OCD health nut. I learned a lot. I've learned enough to where I could get to the other side of the illness. It took a long frickin' time, but I'm definitely there. So there you go. That's why I made music. And if you're listening to this, bless you, bless you, bless you. And you know what? That's really the lesson here. It's okay to be selfish for a period of your life. Just do it. Just do all the things that your spirit wants to do to bring yourself to wholeness. Use that narcissism to your advantage. There's a reason you're being narcissistic, is because you're wanting to be self-absorbed and you want to heal yourself. You want to focus all on yourself. Because by doing so and doing it authentically without inhibition, you're actually going to get to the jewel inside yourself. And then once that's found, then the narcissist fades away and you just do the things that you were meant to do. And I will go ahead and add this. While you're being a self-absorbed narcissist, I highly discourage relationships of the intimate nature because they're not going to end well. You can find all the necessary validation from your own creativity, your own exploration, your own curiosity, that you don't need another person to validate you. You have every ability to validate yourself, my fellow narcissist. So don't waste your time trying to get it from someone else, and don't bring someone else into your narcissism. That's not fair for them. How dare you? So I apologize to any people out there who I may have been in a relationship with during that 7 years of my life. I humbly apologize for being so self-absorbed. And I just want you to know, I still care about you, and I want everything to work out for you, and it was all worth it. It was all worth it. Music was all worth it. All the time I spent being self-absorbed, locked up in my room, well, not locked up, well, I basically caged myself into my room, staring at my computer screen in Ableton Live for hours on end, obsessing about every little detail of the music. When does that beat come in? This is really what art is for. It's an expression of our deepest nature, good or bad, good and bad. Anything else to comment on now? Nope. I'm inspired. I'm always inspired. When I'm not inspired, I'm depressed. If I'm not inspired, it's because I'm not taking care of my body properly. I'm also not doing the things I need to do in my life to break the dam that I've found myself in. I'm actually more inspired now than I was while I was making music. I'm just inspired in different ways. I'm feeling inspired to join a team who's looking to figure out the intricacies of how the universe came to be as we know it is right now. So I'm going to go into research. Finally, it's about time. If I could have 3 qualities for the Cosmic Duck, what is the Cosmic Duck's mission? It would be to explore and discover. It would be to create and to produce. And it would be to harmonize and create peace. That's the Cosmic Duck's mission right there. Farewell, all you lovely listeners. I'll catch you next time.